Now let's go through and analyze a simple traffic capture. Now I say a simple traffic capture because frequently traffic captures aren't very simple. There's a lot to them. But I've got a traffic capture set up that I want to show you, and what I want you to do is just look for different things. I want you to look for timestamps in the overall timeline. I want you to look for unusual ports and protocols, things you may not know what they are and may not see on quote-unquote your network. Also look for strange IP addresses. Spoofed IP addresses is something you definitely have to watch for. Look for unusual flags being set, unusual TCP flags as well. Now let me tell you the scenario. The packet capture I've got for you is done using HPing2, and it's done between the backtrack virtual machine and the XP virtual machine. The XP virtual machine is 30.10 and the backtrack virtual machine is 30.20. Those are the only two IP addresses on the network. So let's kind of see what there should be on this network. Okay, we've got a packet capture going here that we're going to go ahead and stop, and so we can kind of see what traffic has been going on with our network here. Let's scroll all the way up to the top, and one of the first things I mentioned is that we should look at time indexes. Okay, now this happened at 12:33:13, okay, and took place between 12:33 and basically 12:36, a 2-minute capture. We've got a lot of packets here, 274 packets in that few-minute time frame, and we know what traffic is normally on a network. We know we only have two hosts, 30.10 and 30.20, and the only traffic that should be going on, let's say, is ping traffic. Well, look what we've got, a lot of different things. So let's kind of look. Let's change to our time index view, and we're going to just look at seconds since capture. Okay, now the first couple of seconds we've got some broadcast traffic going on. Okay, we've got an ARP right here, but we've also got something before that, something that's really weird, an unusual protocol. Let's kind of look at what that is. We've got a source port of 1195. Don't know what that is. And a destination port of 0. Destination ports of zeros actually look kind of interesting. There are some hack attacks that can take advantage of port 0, so you need to close that when you can. There's really no legitimate use for port 0, to be honest with you. So that's an unusual port. Also look at our IP addresses here. We've got a source port of our source address of 158.207.202.207. Now that's kind of weird because we know that the only two hosts on the network are 30.10 and 30.20. Well, we know that 30.10 is our XP box, so where should this be coming from? Well, if it's spoofed, it could be coming from anywhere. We don't know. We don't know what's on our network. You and I both know that it's probably coming from the backtrack box that's using HPing2 right now. But if we were just looking at this packet capture and we didn't know, we would have to track down where these IP addresses are coming from. And how we might do that is do DNS lookups or do queries on the internet to see who owns this IP address space, who is queries, for example. Now we can look over here and see some of the protocols. There's some interesting protocols going on over here. KJO Discovery, DMIDI, just some interesting things that we don't know what that is because that's not what we use on our network. Let's say we only use web traffic, or we only use Windows NetBIOS sharing, file shares, and so forth. So we've got some weird traffic over here. Oh, there's something interesting, Kazaa. We know that that's a file sharing protocol, and normally in a business network that's usually not allowed. So that's something you might want to take note of when you're looking at your traffic captures. Another thing let's look at is let's look and see if we can find some different flags that are set. Let's go ahead and look at our TCP flags over here and see what's set here. We've got an echo flag set, which we don't see that too often. Let's look and see if we can find some other flags that might be set. Just echo flags so far, but that doesn't mean anything. We might can find some flags that are set later on, but that's one thing we need to look for. That would be something unusual in our traffic capture here. So we've seen spoofed IP addresses, we've seen weird protocols, we've seen a weird flag set. The echo flag is not normally set. We don't see that a lot. So that's something you might want to check out when you're analyzing a traffic capture. Also look at your time index. How soon are these packets coming? Is this a constant scan? And it looks like it might be from all these different IP addresses. Normally we will not see all these IP addresses on a network, so you can just about safely assume from the regularity of the scan, from the time index, let's go back and look at our time index, that this is very likely one box, and it's probably using something like HPing2. We could conclude that by looking at how close the packets are in terms of time. The time indexes are extremely close together. We can conclude that that's one box that's doing that. If it occurred over a space of time, then we might not be able to easily conclude that. And we know from looking at HPing2 that one of the options is to set an interval. It can set a random interval or a timed interval, so it would make it look like it's background normal traffic or really coming from several boxes. The time indexes might not be so close together, so that would make it more difficult to track this particular capture. These are just a few of the things I wanted to point out when you're analyzing a traffic capture that you need to look at. And there are many other things, don't get me wrong. The more you learn about this, the more you actually capture traffic and look at packet captures and so forth, the more you're going to learn from this. So you're going to find other things that are really nice to look at and that you need to be mindful of when you do traffic captures.